Hello everyone, Glenn here, back for the 17th episode of our historical journey together. Today we're diving into fatherhood in colonial America, exploring real stories and their relevance today. Since Father's Day is in June, this month is a fitting time for this topic, although the message matters year-round. Let's start with some context. Father's Day began on June 19, 1910 in Spokane, Washington, thanks to Sonora Smart Dodd, who wanted to honor her father, a Civil War veteran, and a single parent of 6. It grew slowly but became a national holiday in 1972 when President Nixon set the third Sunday in June for it. For comparison, Mother's Day started in 1908 and was officially recognized in 1914 by President Woodrow Wilson, marked on the second Sunday in May. Let's see here what the Webster Dictionary has to say on fatherhood. Across cultures and eras, fatherhood typically involves caregiving, providing emotional support, role modeling, guidance through example, and discipline and guidance, shaping character. Fatherhood takes many forms: biological, adoptive, stepfather, mentor, guardian. In colonial times, it often meant stepping into roles beyond blood ties, like George Washington did with his stepchildren and grandchildren. But fatherhood isn't always positive. Anyone can father a child biologically. Being a true father requires commitment. We'll explore this conflict in the strained relationship between Benjamin Franklin and his son William later on. First, let's look at George Washington's story. His father, Augustine Washington, was a Virginia planter who taught George surveying and bequeathed him a home at Ferry Farm near Fredericksburg. George lived there from age 6 on. Augustine's death at 49 left George fatherless at age 11, forcing him to grow up fast. The Washington family traces back to Robert Washington, George's 6th great-grandfather. Earlier records than this are somewhat spotty. His great-grandfather, John Washington, was the first to settle in Virginia. At age 26, George married Martha Custis and became stepfather to her 2 children, John, or known as Jackie, Park Custis at age 4, and Martha Patsy, age 2. He had no biological children, but later raised 2 of Jackie's children after Jackie's death in 1781. George focused on education and character, as seen in a 1773 letter to Jackie at King's College. You are now extending your views to life and preparing for that field on which you are shortly to enter, that field upon which a good or bad reputation will attend you, as you shall be industrious or negligent in acquiring knowledge and forming your morals. Here are a few more characteristics of fatherhood among the founding fathers. Not all of their children are listed here, but here's a few. John Adams, a lawyer, diplomat, president. Adam urged his daughter Abigail, also known as Nabby Adams, to embrace modesty, virtue, and religion to uphold the family honor, reflecting his Puritan roots. Thomas Jefferson was a devoted but complex father. His daughter Maria, also known as Polly Jefferson, died at age 25. In a letter to his daughter Martha, he wrote, "I am overwhelmed with immense grief, writing of his deep pain of loss." And Benjamin Franklin's relationship with his son William, who was born in 1730, soured due to political differences. William, a loyalist governor of New Jersey, clashed with his patriot father. After William's arrest by patriots in 1776 and his continued loyalty to Britain, they barely spoke. A 1784 meeting in England failed to repair their rift. In contrast, Franklin's daughter Sarah shared a close cooperative bond with her father. When Franklin died in 1790 at age 84, he was celebrated as a founding father. William died in obscurity in England in 1813, still a loyalist, far from the country he once governed. Back to George now and fatherhood. Here's a story from Mary Higgins Clark historical novel, Mount Vernon Love Story, that I'd like to share with you. When George assumed the role of father after gaining 2 stepchildren through his marriage to Martha, he found his approach to discipline often conflicted with hers. And since they were not his biological children, he had to walk a fine line to avoid overstepping her authority. George could see no earthly reason why a boy of nearly 6 should terrify his mother by racing pell-mell down the stairs or slipping away and hiding with the household searching the neighborhood for him. One afternoon, George returned from the legislature to find his boy was gone. Martha's pale face and whispering voice frightened George more than any outburst. George felt no real concern for Jackie. He doubted there was any kidnapper. Jackie had recently bragged he could hide in the house and never be found. George called the servants, told them to stop their aimless searching in the neighborhood and scour the house thoroughly. He believed Jackie was hiding for fun, though Martha rejected that idea, saying Jackie wouldn't frighten her as a joke. George hoped she might see his behavior as a search for boundaries. Jackie resented unlimited freedom. He thrived on disorder. A shout from upstairs. Julius came down holding Jackie, who had been hiding in a closet. Jackie's face fell from triumph to worry as George's stern gaze fixed on him. Martha wept silently. George demanded, "Where were you?" Jackie tried to charm his way out, but George pressed on. "And your mother worrying? Is that fun?" Jackie stammered, "Oh, Mama really doesn't mind." George's voice turned cold. "Go directly to your room. I assure you, you will not be practicing pranks for a time." As Jackie ran to his mother, George intercepted him, landed a smack, and repeated the order. Martha intervened. "You may not smack him." "You seriously believe I'll permit Jackie to upset you to this degree and throw this home into such turmoil? I wish I had the right to refuse to let you ruin him." George left the house and wandered the streets of Williamsburg. Only the other night, Martha told George she had a recurring dream of walking through a graveyard, where 4 tombstones bore the names of her 2 already lost children, and her own, and Jackie's. Her fear seemed real. Still, George knew such fear would ruin the boy. He resolved that once they had children together, Martha's grasp on Jackie might loosen. Until then, discipline would remain a delicate matter. George returned home. Martha, now composed in a green gown, greeted him. "Did you have a nice walk?" Her voice was calm but nervous. "I have been thinking," he said earnestly. "I have been thinking too. You are quite right. Jackie was very naughty. I've sent him to bed without supper." It was a small concession to George. George managed to make a weary smile. Then at least Jackie is not totally escaping the consequences. I told him he must not anger you. I shall speak to him myself. But you won't smack him. No, my dear, I won't put a finger on him. Upstairs, Jackie sat upright in bed. George told him, "You will be punished, but not the punishment you so richly deserve." "I'm sorry I made you so angry, Papa." "And your mother?" "Mama said she knows I didn't mean it." George noticed the supper tray. "I thought you were sent to bed without your supper." "Well, without a real one, but Mama said I could have bread, jam, and milk if I got too terribly hungry." George was furious again. Jackie ran to George, arms clung to his legs. The boy sobbed. "Please don't be angry. I promise you I won't hide again." "Do you want to fix this, Jackie?" Jackie nodded. "Then punish yourself. Do not touch a bite of that food until breakfast." Jackie nodded again. George sent him back to bed, tucked him in, and he felt the child's love. And with some control, he might shape Jackie into someone to be proud of. He blew out the candle and left the room. The next morning, the food had not been touched. George felt some progress made for disciplining Jackie. I think this story portrays a good balance of love and discipline and fatherhood. And that wraps up our quick journey in colonial times. Fatherhood isn't always perfect, but it helps shape kids, next generations, and a nation. We are the beneficiaries of it if we can keep it. July 4th is coming up. I hope you celebrate it. Perhaps my next episode will touch on our independence. Until our next adventure, I bid thee a fair and most pleasant day.